The Modern
Either
Horizons
Spike.
3 set review. Blue cards. Okay.
Aether Spike. 1 and a blue for 2 mana for an instant. Choose target spell. You get blue, blue. 2 energy counters. Then you may pay any amount of blue. Counter that spell unless its controller pays 1 for each energy paid this way. This is Quench Plus. I kind of like this. I actually think this is a pretty dang good Quench. For the fact that it can scale later. I understand it's quite expensive to stop the things that you want to stop, but you get to be a little choosy. I'm assuming that the rest of your deck also produces energy. But the fact that you can counter something later on for 2 mana is pretty much all I'm looking for, right? Like, at minimum, this is a Quench. And sometimes, for example, if your opponent has only, for example, if your opponent taps out, right? If your opponent taps out, you can do the full, you can actually just get energy off of this. Like, you counter it and get 1 energy, which is really nice. So, like, Quench with a little bit of extra value. So I'm really into this. I'm actually going to be pretty optimistic and give this one a C. I think this one's quite important for any sort of reactive energy-based strategies.
Witch Enchanter? He needs help. Scotty.
Sorry, I was fielding a question from Han. I missed your joke completely.
Oh, no. Okay, so it's Quench, but blue has really good common to make energy. For a single blue mana, you draw a card and make 2 energy. So that kind of helps out cards like this, that you can always just counter. And then a lot of times you're just gonna get an energy and counter something. It's like a better Quench, but I think it's fine. I think it's okay. Especially with this this is gonna mess up the Eldrazi decks. Sure, you're gonna get some effects, but usually the effect is gonna be like an Eldrazi spawn or some garbage. A lot of common and uncommon Eldrazi don't even have an effect on cast. You have to target a spell. Yeah, you gotta target a spell. Yeah, you're never gonna pay 2 mana for 2 energy, I think, most of the time at least. I think it's fine. This is fine. Especially in blue, because blue does have that energy production, so gonna be easy to counter a lot of things. I'm gonna see as well. I like this. These are the cards that are kinda, they don't lose value in high powered sets. Quenches always play well. Quenches usually play really badly. That's how Quenches play in limited, Alvi. Pretty poorly. When it's just a Quench. It's pretty poorly. Quench can be F in best one because of spawns. That is true.
I think that's a lateral thing you should think about. If your opponent is using spawns and they don't have things to ramp into, that's like a weird kind of confused deck.
No.
But if they're ramping into stuff, they're using their spawns.
No, it's not true.
And then
it's
you
not
quench
true.
it.
Green has really good commons that make spawns that you play in literally any deck. With a top end of 3 mana, you play them. Like green has really good cards, and then those are commons.
Sure.
And then green-red has a common that makes spawns that you play in literally any deck. So it's not true. I don't think you're on almost any deck. I don't think your goal is to ramp with spawns. I think any deck is naturally going to have those cards because if the card is bad, you don't play it. If the card is good and it makes spawns, you play it in any deck. I think that's kind of how it's going to be.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And then it might seem like, oh, but I'm paying energy, but they're paying spawns. But they're not paying spawns if you pay energy. Like, they're just gonna know, okay, you paid 3 energy, I'm not gonna sack my spawn. Counter the card. Actually, because of that, I can see this as a C-. But I can also see it going up, like, depending on how...
I mean, it's really not hard to make this into Mana League. Then it goes up from there.
Maybe Eldrazi decks suck. I don't... Talvi, you're very, very passionate today, but I literally said... it doesn't matter with Eldrazi decks. It's just like you're gonna be getting spawns from good cards in any deck, and when you play Eldrazi, you're gonna be playing the same cards that you play in any deck. So I don't think Eldrazi decks are gonna have more spawns. I think it's just like, oh, now you're also playing some Eldrazi cards. You're not gonna be playing the spawns because you're playing Eldrazi. Pretty sure that's how it's gonna work. Yeah, keep it on a C from me as well. Keep it on a C.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, it's me. Corrupted Shapeshifter for 3 and a blue. It's an Eldrazi with a star power and toughness. We got the first card that has Devoid, I think. So Devoid means, sure, you're paying blue in its mana cost, but the card is actually colorless. Which doesn't matter that much, but it is colorless. So as Corrupted Shapeshifter enters the battlefield, it becomes your choice of a 3/3 creature with flying, a 2/5 creature with vigilance, a 0/12 creature with defender. I'm guessing 0/12 is not going to be used that often, but maybe your opponent has something huge and now you can block it, right? For 4 mana, you negate it. 2/5 is also really bad with vigilance, but maybe that's what you need. So probably the best case is 3/3. It's really nice flexibility on this one. But I think all the sides are really bad. So it's very, very flexible. But all the sides are very bad. Very cool creature, but all the sides feel really crappy. I'm gonna give this like a D. A D.
Yeah, I'm on a D as well. It seems like just a filler magic card. I'm not too unhappy to have it in this deck.
I love these cards that have super important choices, right? These three, you get possibility of 3 creatures that are completely different in what they do. But all of them are crappy. Like maybe if one of them was really good, and then you had that floor being really good. That would be nice. Krabat Cortoni says that we should revisit this card after we see the synergy. I don't know if you guys are even here. Like, we have talked about the 1 mana draw card and get to energy when we first mentioned the card. And then you tell us, hey, you should revisit this after you see the card that you just talked about. I don't even know. Go, Scotty.
Deem Inferior, which is what Lolo's doing to chat. 3 and a blue for 4 mana for a sorcery. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each card you've drawn this turn. The owner of target non-land permanent puts it into their library, second from the top or bottom. There's like a really small sub theme. Blue-black cards that care about drawing 3 cards a turn, which to me is wild. That's a lot of cards to be drawing in a turn. But I guess the joke is you can make this cost 1 mana. But this is a sorcery. So normally on your turn, it's going to cost 3, right? Normally on your turn, it's going to cost 3. You draw an additional card, it's going to cost 2, sure, yada yada, but you're also paying mana to draw those extra cards. So it's going to basically cost 3, and frankly speaking, nothing special. 3 mana tuck something. Shrug, you know, we had Jailbreak Scheme in the last set. Nothing too special. I'm not super into this one, but it's there if you need it. I'm going to give this one a D+.
A D+? I think this card is really good. 3 mana for a sorcery speed effect of this one is nice, I think.
You like Jailbreak Scheme?
Yeah, I think it's one of the best blue commons. Non-land permanent as well. And it's also second from the top. I think it's huge that you can pay less for this. I think that's pretty big. Like there are some cards. There's that Dimir cards, right? That draws you 2 cards, I think, and then discard 2 cards, and then it costs 1 mana. But I think this card is gonna be one of the better blue commons. There is a blue card that lets you for 1 mana draw a card that we talked about. There's like that Heron Visionary, I guess, for 3 mana that you draw a card. We're gonna see it soon. There are some things. I quite like this card. I'm gonna be on a C+. I think this is good. I think it's pretty good. It's sorcery, so that hurts it. But I think it's 3 mana as a floor is completely reasonable. And then when you pay 2 or 1 for it, that's gonna be huge. Electrozoa for 3 mana. It's a 3/1 flash flyer. When it enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy, and at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, tap it unless you pay energy. Okay, I think this is complete garbage. I think this is really bad. Really, really, really bad. So you play it, okay. Next turn, you lose 1 energy that you gained. You attack with it. Next turn, you lose another energy that you gained. You attack with it. So you get 2 attacks with it. Or a block, I guess, but 3-1 is a bad blocker. And then you gotta... I mean, Wait, it's kind of okay. Wait, this is actually pretty good because of the flash. Yeah, I mean, you just block with it, right, Scotty? Hey,
Yeah, it's 3 damage to attack and creature gain 2 energy.
Yeah, this is actually really good. As I've already mentioned, this card is pretty damn good. This is what I've been saying the whole time, right, Scotty?
I don't think this card is that good.
I think it's pretty good.
3 mana?
Yeah, 2 energy.
Alright. You seem to like your 3 mana removal spells. I think Demon Fury is way better than this.
What do you think? Which card?
Demon Fury, the last card.
The problem is...
I mean, I like energy, but it's 3 mana for 3 damage is clunky.
No, 3 mana for 3 damage I think is pretty good if you're getting 2 energy. But it's not that. It's not that. It's actually not that, yeah, now that I think about it. Like, it's not that. Because opponent has to attack. Right, opponent has to attack.
Yes, so attacking creature. And that creature can't have first strike.
And if it attacks... And if they don't attack, then this is absolute garbage. So I think, okay, this is actually pretty bad, I think. I think it's a D+.
I'm on a D+ as well. You've sold me on a C for Demon Fury, though.
Yeah? I'm on a C+.
I think second from the top is also kind of a big deal.
Yeah, second on the top is a big deal.
I'm also glad that you like Jailbreak Scheme, because basically everyone who I've talked to, or rather, I don't interact with that many people, but basically everyone in chat seems to think the card stinks, but it's always played out better than I thought.
Yeah, I like it. I think it... blue is not amazing, but it's one of the better blue things.
Let's talk about Petrifying Meddler. 4 and a blue, 5 mana for an Eldrazi. It's a 4/5 with Devoid. When you cast a spell, tap up to 1 target creature and put a stun counter on it. It has reach. It's okay stats. I think for this set, for a normal set, I would kind of be into the stat line. But the set is... The stat line's still fine, I think. The stat line's still fine. The effect is fine. Playing these cards one after another feels reasonable. Like, I always like these sort of Berg Strider type cards, right? Playing one after another. It's a pretty big beating in terms of like how you can advance the board to make room for attacks, etc. It's kind of hard to block a 5 toughness creature. So despite the fact this has reach, this one can actually beat down, but I still think it's filler. I still think this is filler. So I'm going to give this a C-.
I'm thinking about like those really good flyers in white. How reach is actually going to be kind of nice. I mean, in a normal set, not modern set, you would like this a lot, right?
Yeah, I think this would be like a C+.
Yeah. I think it's pretty good. I think it's better than that. I mean, you can actually stack these ones, but because reach means that block literally anything, and then you can, like, tapping means that even if it gets removed, something is not gonna attack you. I think it's fine. I want to C- for this one. I think it's pretty good. I can see it going higher. I can definitely see it going higher. Sage of the Unknowable. For 1 and blue, it's a 0/4 that can tap for colorless. Spend this mana only to cast a colorless spell or to activate an ability. Kinda crappy. Obviously made for Eldrazi decks that require you to have this colorless mana. Not many there are only like, what, 2 colorless blue spells that I actually care about. 0/4, I guess it can block things. We have a lot of like these colorless spells. I think this is not very good. I'm gonna give it a D plus, maybe in the right deck. It's okay. A D maybe.
I mean, do you want to give it a ceiling grade?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's that great there.
I kind of think it would be important for decks that care about colorless. First of all, because I kind of think in those decks you're going to be snapping up for colorless sources anyway. And the fact that this kind of plays double duty and keeping you alive, plus also ramping out your stuff a turn early, I think that's sort of the name of the game. But I'll still take it as a D+.
I mean, actually, there is that 5 mana draw 3 color spell, which is you could like have a good amount of these in your deck, some colorless cards and so on, and then 5 mana draw 3 as a colorless, you can ramp into that, and it makes a 0/1, I guess. There are some good colorless like uncommons. That's where it starts. Yeah, nothing special, but I can see the deck where this is good. I hope this card is gonna be good. That means like a lot of these slower decks work. All right.
Yeah, I'll go up to C-.
Okay.
Because like this is an extremely unique effect for that deck, and I can see you clamoring for it if you even remotely want to be doing that kind of thing.
Do we have any abilities that we care about?
Cycling.
Cycling, okay. But do we have anything that we care about in... I mean, there is cycling, that is true. Anything in blue that has an ability? There is equipping, I guess, but blue doesn't really have that. There's like blue-white, maybe you're equipping. But then like blue-white, I think you wanna, if you're equipping, you wanna be more aggressive. Not play 0/4. There's that Simic card that draws a card, but that's more ramp, right? The card that ramps and you can also draw cards with it. But then just playing like big toughness, low power creatures. Alright, D plus for now. I hope it's gonna be in a C range later. I really hope. Okay, next up.
Serum Visionary. It's a 2 and a blue for 3 mana for a Vidalcan Wizard. It's a 2/2. When Serum Visionary enters the battlefield, draw a card, then scry 2. Yeah, there's a lot of appealing text on that text box. Scry 2 in the late game is very appealing at clearing out lands for when you actually want to draw gas. So this is pretty good at doing that. With the downside, it's a 2/2, which is a pretty bad downside. Doesn't trade a ton. Helps double blocking a little bit. It's funny because these are one of these cards that like our magic value brains is like, wow, this card's like super duper amazing. But I'm kind of having my doubts about 2024 3 mana 2/2s. I'm still gonna give this a C+, but the stat line concerns me a lot.
In a normal set, great. In this set, still pretty good, I think. But a 2/2 trades with less things. But draw card and scry 2 is a lot of things to choose from. I'm on a C+ as well. I think in a normal set it will be at least a B-, but C+ for now. Tempest Harvester for 1 and a blue. It's a 2/1 that adds to energy when it enters the battlefield, and you can tap it and pay energy to draw a card and discard a card. I like this. This is like good energy, and even if you don't care about energy, you can loot for 2 times for free. It's pretty good. I want to see plus for this one.
Ooh, nice. Me too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what was that? What was that rummager that people started off really low on but ended up being fine? I know this is super vague. I'm sorry. I'm not setting you up well for this.
Which rummager?
This rummager.
You lose. You lose.
I lose? How did I lose?
I got
You're just making rules now. You lose.
You don't even understand.
Oh no.
But which Ramager really? Like for real now?
No,
like,
maybe I don't.
Which
now you're making me feel like I got it. No, I actually.
No, there's nothing to understand. Which Ramager? I really don't understand which Ramager. Tell me.
God, there's some red rummager that was like everyone thought it was going to be kind of crappy, and then it became like everyone's darling by the end of the set.
1/3 oil guy.
Oil, yes, the oil one. Yes, oil guy.
Oil guy.
Kind of gives me oil guy vibes. I like it.
Mm-hmm. I think that's pretty. And this is looting much better than damaging.
Yeah.
Tune in the narrative for blue. Instant speed. Instant speed. Draw a card and you get 2 energies. Great. Gonna give it a B minus. If you care about energy, you really want this. So yeah, B minus.
I'm on a C plus. This card is really good. I have no disagreements.
If you don't care about energy, well, what can you do? But if you do, amazing. If, like, yeah, probably something is gonna care about energy. Blue.
So okay. So a B minus to me says that you'll be taking this before you like really know that you're energy, because having these is like a reason to go into energy if you see them like first, second, third pick. Is that how high you're taking these?
Yeah, pretty highly, I think. And
okay.
you have this also, this Ramager for 2 mana, right? Looter for 2 mana as well. Like it.
Unfathomable Truths. Which is 4 and a blue for 5 mana for an instant with Devoid. Draw 3 cards and create an 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn creature token with. Sacrifice this creature, add blue. I think this will be perfectly fine in those decks that want the 0/4, as you said. It's fine. The fact that these create Eldrazi spawn tokens, design-wise, is so that you don't feel bad using Eldrazi spawns to cast this, right? You can create an Eldrazi spawn, then use an Eldrazi spawn, and then still curve into your larger creatures, right? So, like, getting an Eldrazi spawn is not trinket text on this, right? It's actually quite important for those decks.
It's also chump block, right? So it's like a card that
sure,
gives you
it's
some
also
life.
some amount of life. Yeah. So I think it's fine. I can see
it's
those
instant.
style of decks like, yeah, in an instant. I can see those style of decks playing like 2 to 3 of these. But at the same time, I think you want to be getting them a little bit later and not like moving in because you see these. At least that's where I am. So I'm taking it to C minus.
Man, I love instant. I love that so many spells should just be instant. It gives you so much more choices. It just gives you so many more choices. Because how am I going to use my mana when I'm going to keep the mana open? You keep mana open for a couple of cards, so you choose the one that's right for the scenario. That is really cool. What do you give this?
C minus.
I think it's going to be pretty good. I don't know how many you can actually put in the deck. I can see this being like a C. 5 mana draw 3 is a little bit iffy, but I can see this being a C. Utter insignificance. Utter insignificance. Did I say that correctly? How am I so bad, man? This is not a hard word.
That's an extremely difficult word to say.
It is? So insignificant?
Yeah.
Insignificant.
Insignificance?
That's
like one of the harder,
right?
like normal words to say.
So I said it right. Good.
Yeah, you said it right.
Insignificant is like normal word, but you never use insignificance. Okay, 1 and a blue. Enchantment Aura with Flash. Flash, so many things with Flash. Oh, that's so interesting. And that's a pain in MTG Online. That's a pain. You can never just pass. You always gotta, every single turn you gotta, oh man. I'm so happy that I don't have to play this set on MTG Online anymore. Because like when everything is instant and Flash, you can't just cheat your way and pass the turn. You always gotta you always gotta be ready to respond, like for literally anything. Flash, enchanted creature loses all abilities and has base power and toughness 1/1. For 2 and a colorless, you can exile the enchanted creature. This is not great.
Isn't this just better than Eaten by Piranhas?
It is. I used to think my life was meaningless, now I know for certain. Ooh. That's how Eldrazi work, I think.
So you're saying Eldrazi are just savage emotional abusers and just nag you constantly.
Yeah. Negi Eldrazi's. That's also pretty cool. I kind of love the Eldrazi's. Like they're so epic that you just feel like nothing. You and your power feels like nothing compared to them.
Until you quench their spell. Until you quench their 7 mana spell. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's also kind of like they do things on cost, right? So you still didn't really quench a full card. You didn't really counter a full card. They still do something. Like even when you fully counter them, like even when you counter them, they still do something. I mean, this is not really good. It's like this is the removal in blue. This is what we get, I guess. So not gonna get anything better. Is the thing. That's the last blue common, and I guess it's serviceable, but it's not great. A lot of things have ETBs in this set as well, whether energy or something. So I'm just gonna be on a D for this one. I mean, for 5 mana you do, but one is colorless. You do kill something. So I'm just on a D. This is pretty bad.
I'll go D+. Okay. I'll go D+.
We're done with blue commons. What do you think, Scotty?
What do I think of blue commons? I think that I think the blue commons have a really, really strong base for energy. There's like a lot of good, or like the 2 cards. Like 2 is a lot of commons, right, in a set. Like you're kind of joking with me about 2 uncommons being a lot, but 2 commons is legitimately kind of a lot.
It's a lot for the energy, right?
Yeah, it's for like really solid, highly desirable energy producers. So
there are some other energy producers.
And frankly, I think the quench is good too. So
yeah, C I think is a good start for it. I can see it being better. But yeah, blue also having these instant speed spells, I think makes quench even better. So I can see quench going to C+, and I think like that you're gonna move it to C+, like kind of now. But I can see it going up. Are you gonna do that? Are you gonna like move it to C+ now?
No.
Okay.
Are you?
No.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like 2 very desirable commons, easy to put in a deck in multiples that produce 2 energy, don't have to spend it. And then you have some other things that do that. And then instant speed spells, value. Obviously, blue commons are not aggressive. Like you're not gonna be that good at attacking. But blue actually has two drops that are fine this time around, that fit in a blue strategy. It's not just like a random 2-1 that does nothing. It's a 2-1 that gave you energy. It's 2-1 that can start looting for you. So I like blue a lot. Interesting color as well. It's not just like straight up, oh, I'm gonna kill the opponent or something. So pretty cool. Next up, we got blue uncommons. Scotty.
Bespoke Battle Wagon. It's a 4 mana for a 3 and a blue for a 5/6 vehicle. You can tap it to get 2 energy. You can tap it and pay 2 energy to tap a creature. You can tap it and pay 3 energy to draw a card, or you can pay 4 energy to make it a creature until end of turn. It has crew 4, so that crew cost is prohibitively high.
Jesus Christ.
That's like a ridiculous crew cost. I basically only want to be crewing this with energy. I mean, it's nice that the other crew cost exists, but basically only with energy. This card is spicy, by the way. I think this card is really, really spicy. And I think all the effects add up to it being quite good. I think with the good energy producers in this set, I don't think it's unreasonable to be able to play this on 4 and be able to block with it immediately. I don't think that's unreasonable to ask for.
Mm-hmm.
And the upside after this is quite strong, right? For example, if you're not totally destroying your opponent on board and your opponent drops a Bespoke Battle Wagon, right? Now they have, like, let's say they can't even crew it on the first turn, and you still can't like get your board position as super favorable. Now the next turn they have like a threat of a 5/6 blocker. They don't even have to activate it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't activate it, they just get to start gaining advantage, whether it be in the form of energy or drawing cards. Like I think this is legitimately a very good payoff. So I'm going to take this at a B-.
Yeah, it's very interesting. The pay 4 is so important in this card. By the way, on the turn that you play it, if you make it into a creature, you cannot tap it for mana. Sorry, you cannot tap it for energy, for extra energy. So you can't do that if it's a creature. If it's an artifact, then you can do it. You can tap it for energy right away. Yeah, I think
it gives me unlicensed hearse vibes.
Really?
Wait, no, not her. Sorry, what's that card that you always wanted to turn into a creature and then tap, and then people always got blown out by it?
Because you couldn't tap it?
Yeah, because they couldn't tap it.
Which one?
Bankbuster.
Oh,
Bangbuster is
Bangbuster.
the one.
Okay.
Yeah.
It has a lot of effects, man. Like, produces energy, has ways to use energy, and it's the body. I think this pay 4 is what sells it for me. So I'm also gonna be on a B minus.
I think this card would be really bad if it didn't have that 4 energy clause.
Yeah. The more I look at this, the more like blue still feels pretty slow, and then I think it's important part of blue is gonna be having reach. So white doesn't just straight up kill it. So that 4/5 could be pretty good. And that 3/1 flyer with energy could be good as well. Because you have so many instant speed cards. That 3/1 gain energy could be really good. Blue feels really nice, man. I like this a lot. Ugh. Brain Search for 2 and a blue. Instant speed. Draw 4 cards, then put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. Instant speed. Good selection. Funnily enough, this set has something similar to fetch lands on common. So you can put 2 cards that you don't need and shuffle your deck. On some turns, you can do that. On sometimes you can do that. So that's pretty cool. You're basically drawing 2 cards with this, but you actually get more selection. So not a bad card. Nothing too wild, I would say. I think it's just a C. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm a little bit higher. I'll go C+. I think the fetch land thing is pretty dang real to the point that it's gonna feel pretty crushing in the late game, or even like the mid game when that happens. It's quite a powerful effect.
I think it's not that important because like blue has that 2 mana looter, so you can loot the things that you don't need away.
Fair point. Consign to memory. Blue for an instant. Replicate 1. Replicate means that when you cast it, you can pay 1 multiple times. And when you do, you copy it that many times, and you can choose new targets for the copy. And you counter triggered ability or colorless spell. I think this is an F with the sideboard grade. What do you think?
There is a lot of colorless spells.
There are a decent amount of colorless spells. It's kind of like the no elemental blast, which I also don't think was really main deckable.
It costs only. So the funny thing, what they want with this is like every Eldrazi has a triggered ability. A lot of Eldrazi have a triggered ability on cast, and then you pay 1 mana to counter. You pay 2 mana to counter that ability and the Eldrazi. Oh my God, Eldrazi are gonna have some problems in against this after the sideboard. There's 21. No, there's 11 common colorless cards, but none of them are black. None of them are white. So if you play against white or black deck, it's gonna be trouble. Blue having so many very good card draw. I can see this being a D, just a D, and you loot it away, or you have more cards than other colors, that it's fine to have this in your hand. So I'm on a D. In the first week, B minus probably, because everybody's gonna try drafting Eldrazi decks. Copy Crook. For 2 and double blue, it's a 0/0 rogue shapeshifter. You may have this thing enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except it has, whenever this creature attacks, it connives. Oh, that's kind of nice upside. You still really want a copy of Ordrop, or more, or something bigger. I think this is a decent clone. I'm gonna give it like a C+.
This is the first true clone that we've seen on Arena at Uncommon. Do you know that?
Really?
Yep, this is the first true clone at Uncommon on Arena.
Like
Very
that
nice.
you can copy anything.
Yeah, that can copy your opponent's board. Yeah. I'm on a B minus.
The problem is like you gotta wait for that creature. You can't just play something, so it is conditional.
Yep. But it does have the upside of being able to be cast on like turn 8 for like something even bigger.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good. Depth Defiler, 3 blue, 5 mana for a creature Eldrazi. It's a 3/5 with Devoid and Kicker, colorless. When you cast a spell, choose 1. If it was kicked, choose both instead. Return target creature to its owner's hand, or target player draws 2 cards, then discards a card. This is a heckin' payoff.
This is good.
If you don't kick it, if you don't have, are you making fun of me?
No.
You're making fun of me.
No, you're cute.
I'm on to you, Lil. I'm on to you. Wow.
I like the way you said it. I liked it.
If you don't have any colorless in your entire deck, this is a good card. It's just good. It's
pretty good, man.
It's pretty dang good.
Pretty good.
If your opponent doesn't have a board, you still get value off of it. It's a value creature. This card is excellent. And I don't think it's unreasonable to get one Eldrazi Scion. I think that's pretty cracked. I actually think this is a B+.
I mean, 3/5, return target creature, draws 2 cards, then discard a card. Creatures are there are gonna be these some germs in play, so you're gonna be actually killing their creature if it's a germ. There are gonna be +1/+1 counters, so you're gonna be getting rid of that. When it kicks, oh man, draw 2 cards and discard a card. Wait, you can kick. So you can have 6 mana, draw 2 cards, discard a card infinite times, right?
You could bounce itself, yeah.
I mean that sometimes that's very rarely, but it's pretty cool.
Oh no, you can't do that. Sorry, because it's on cast.
Oh, stupid Eldrazi with their own castings, not normal. Yeah, that's true. It's on cast. Okay. It's great. You can't do that. Yeah, that's true. It is great. Yeah, I think I'm on a B+ as well. This is so nice. And you also get it's draw to discard one is so much better than draw a card. It's a lot better.
Draw a card.
Very nice.
Yeah, you can discard your consign to memory that you put in your deck.
True. Emrakul's Messenger for 1 and a blue. It's a 2/1. Devoid flying. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a 0/1 colorless Eldrazi boy. So, wow. That's pretty good. And by the way, if I repeat after you sometimes, that doesn't mean that I'm making fun of you. Sometimes it's because I like it. It's because I feel happy.
I feel happy.
This is happy card. My God. Okay, wait. This is really good. What the fuck? Talk about the Eldrazi payoffs. They're not in colorless. They're here in blue. 2 mana, 2/1 flying. So this is a clock. Now we're getting to Modern Horizons territory. This is a clock that just kills your opponent, right? A 2 mana, 2/1 flyer. Attacks all the time. You just gotta draw second card each turn and you're making 0/1 actual creatures that can block and ramp. And blue is good at this. Blue has that draw 3 which we're fine about. Blue has that 2 mana 2/1 that loots, draws your card and discards card. Blue has the Serum Visionary which draws your second card on play. Blue has Tune the Narrative which draws your card and gives you 2 energy. Okay. Those are commons that I just mentioned, by the way. Even if you are not ever playing Eldrazi or something, I'm on a B+. I'm on a B+.
B+. This card is really good. I'm only slightly lower on a B. That is extremely powerful effect. Yeah, I don't really have issues. It's really close to B+.
Kind of crazy that it's a 2/1, that it's a 2-drop that you want to keep on board, but you don't have to. But you can also attack with it all the time.
Yeah, because it's not going to be trading.
Yeah. Okay, that's crazy.
Hope Ender Coatl, 2 and a blue for a creature, Eldrazi Snake. It's a 2/2 with Devoid and Flash. When you cast a spell, counter target spell an opponent controls, unless they pay 1. Has flying. A really interesting / frustrating magic card. the effect of this will range from underwhelming to incredibly backbreaking. So like the grade is going to be unrepresentative of how this feels, because whenever your opponent casts this on turn 3 or 4, it's going to feel like an A- card. It's going to feel horrible for you. And best of all, it's going to make you feel stupid, because then after that you play your land drop. But it's still pretty good. You know, Windrake is nothing special. Windrake with Flash, it's okay.
Windrake is bad. I think Windrake is bad.
Yeah, it's not great, but I think it's gonna feel really backbreaking. But I think overall, on average, it's gonna be like a C+.
A C+?
Yeah.
So this is how I'm looking at it. So of course, if it counters, that's like, as Clark said, backbreaking. But you gave yourself a lot higher chance to win the game. But I think about it this way: since 3 mana 2/2 flying flash is garbage. What if you made your opponent's 3 mana card cost 4, your opponent 2 mana card cost 3? Wouldn't those cards be garbage as well? Like, even if you're not countering it, like, you're kind of making their cards be garbage. Like, now they cannot double spell.
I mean, that's assuming that they have another spell to cast, right?
Yeah. So
like if your opponent drops a 4th land drop and then casts a 3 drop, you're not happy casting Hope End or Coatl.
I mean, you probably cast it.
You probably cast it.
So they can't do anything there. But so that is something. I'm on a C+ as well. I think this is really good. I think it would go up then higher than that. But there are these Eldrazi's clones. Kozilek's Unsealing. Kozilek is a 9/9, right, in this set?
It's a 9/9.
For 2 and a blue, the Void. Whenever you cast a creature spell with mana value 4, 5, or 6, create 2 Eldrazi spawns. Whenever you cast a creature spell with mana value 7 or greater, draw 3 cards? I mean, I'm saying it like that, but it's not like it's... these cards are never as broken as it sounded when I just said it, because they are nothing on their own. That's pretty good, though. You know what's the coolest thing about blue? You have this 2/1 great creature for 2 mana that loots for you, and then all of these cards that can be amazing, you can loot them away when they're kind of... because the floor is very low. The floor for some of these cards is pretty low, but you can loot them away if it's not worth it. This is really cool. I love that this card exists. So if you play a 4 mana card next turn, you're getting 2 0/1s, and even if you're not using them for mana, which I think you are a lot of times, you can chump block, right? So it means every creature that costs 4, 5, or 6 is gonna gain you a lot of life. 7 or greater, that's a little bit harder thing to ask. That's where those those 7 drops come in.
Yeah, the cyclers, yeah.
Yeah, the cyclers, and there's like that breaker of creation, like that gains life on uncommon. That's gonna be pretty cool with this. But you can also just you flood the board. I do like this card, man. It's gonna be hard to play 7 drop, like hard to get too many in the deck. I like this card. Just flooding the board with 0/1s is great for blue. Just to chump block, and then you can draw cards from other sources. Like blue has a lot of ways to draw cards. And you can also just sack these things to start looting the lands away. I'm on a C+ for this one. I'm on a...
How many times do you expect to be triggering the Scion ability?
Actually, I think that you can do this, make these decks that it has a lot of... Wait, what means Scion ability?
Oh, sorry, spawn ability.
Oh, the 4, 5, 6? I actually think you can put a good amount... Now that I'm looking at this like that... I think you can put a lot of 4 and 5 mana creatures in the deck. with some of the blue cards. Maybe with that 0
Yeah,
for...
but like, don't you need slots for your cheap cards too? Don't you need to have slots for your cheap cards too?
Yeah, I think it's gonna
Like,
be
how
very
many 2 and
different
3 drops do
blue
you want to
decks. Blue decks with cards and a ton of cheap stuff, and blue decks with big stuff. And you can loot it away. In not the end of the world, I think. But I think it's gonna be great in the deck, just because these are real creatures.
Yeah, it's actually really hard. So if your opponent has quote unquote done it, it's really hard to kill them after this resolve.
Yeah, yeah.
Like 3 mana is not a ton of investment. Like you don't take a huge tempo hit if you play this on curve. And after that, it's really hard to kill your opponent. Like you actually make up for a lot of time lost by just the amount of chump blockers that you get. So I also think it's pretty good. I also give it a C+.
Okay. Do you get a ceiling?
Ceiling like B?
I think C+ is fine, just on average. I think that's fine.
Okay.
There's a green Hydra creature that you can play for 7.
Royal Cartographer, 1 and a blue for a creature Merfolk Rogue. It's a 1/3. Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, get an energy. You can pay 6 energy to draw 3 cards. This creates some amount of energy. And getting 6 energy is not a pipe dream. It's just costly. It's just costly. I think this is worse by a decent amount than the looter. I think the stats are worse because you can't actively trade as well. A 1/3 is pretty bad. I don't like 1/3s. I think it's on average generates like the same amount of energy on average. Like I understand like the idea is that you can get a ton of energy if this like lives from turn 2 on, but like what if you draw it later? You know, what if you have to get this into combat beforehand? It's a little slow in that regard. And 6 energy, draw 3 cards is kind of expensive. Pretty costly, and that also means you're not doing like other things like tapping your opponent's creatures, etc. If you're dumping all your energy into this. So yeah, I'm not super high on this. I'm not super high on this, buddy. Putting this at a C-.
I'm putting it on a C+. I am super high on this. Because you have that 1 mana gain 2 energy, draw card. 2 mana, 2/1 get energy. Landfall here gets energy. You have the 3/1 flying, which I think is actually going to be better than... I think it's going to play out pretty well. That gives you 2 energy. So I think like using it once is crazy, but I think you can even maybe use it more than once. So I want a C+. I think this is really good. I think to 6 energy in this set is going to be okay. Okay to do. You don't have...
You like it better than the looter?
Kind of similar.
Okay.
Tamio meets the story circle. We have the blue uncommon saga. First step. Until your next turn, whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, it gets -2/-0. Okay. Really good. That's reminiscent of Behold the Unspeakable, right? You're playing saga and the opponent just doesn't attack well. Discard second phase. Discard any number of cards, then investigate twice for each card discarded this way. And third one, shuffle up to 3 target cards from your graveyard into your library, so you make your deck a little bit better. This is quite costly though. It's quite costly because you're gonna have to pay 2 mana for all of these tokens to draw your card, these clue tokens. But you do get that one turn where opponent doesn't attack you well at all. You do need to discard cards as well. I think it's fine. It's good with Madness. Yeah, there is one Madness card in the set. That's a lot of clues. And that first effect is huge. Shuffle 3 is pretty cool. I don't think blue really needs this effect, but I think it is fine. I think I'm gonna give it a C. The first effect is amazing for card draw spells, but it does cost a lot to draw cards.
Yeah, I think this will play out worse than it reads.
Yeah.
Mostly because of what you mentioned about the cost of cracking clues. And if our argument is that, oh, it's really good when you're like in that top deck war, I'm not really interested in that. I'm more interested in card draw spells when they help me hit additional land drops, and this doesn't do that well at all. You know, like divination, I think may be better than this, which is a little sad. So I'm actually gonna go C minus.
Yeah, I can see it going down. Just I really like the first effect on a card or spell.
Triton Wavebreaker, blue for enchantment creature. It's a Merfolk wizard that's a 1/1, has bestow, 1 and a blue. As long as Triton Wavebreaker is a creature, it has prowess. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has prowess. 1 mana, 1/1 with prowess. Nothing special. Nothing too special. An ability to cheaply bestow something and pump it and give it prowess. It's nice, to be honest. Like prowess giving an additional +1/+1, because like Magic is oftentimes about breakpoints and stats. It's tough to get that to relevant, right? Because now you're casting 2 spells to make it a 3/3, and that still probably trades off with things by the time you're double spelling reasonably. But if you can bestow this on something else, so it's much easier to get that breakpoint where the +1/+1 and the additional +1/+1 matters a lot more. It's a little bit more interesting. That being said, if I'm looking at this as like an aura, it's whatever. It's kind of whatever. Do I see like a tempo-oriented, proactive blue deck? Not really. I think most of the blue energy cards are slow. They seem slow to me. They seem like they want to prolong the game, and a lot of the Eldrazi cards seem, at least in blue, seem slow. Pretty slow. But overall, I think it's fine. I think it's fine. I also give this a C minus.
Yeah, it's okay. There's a lot of instant speed spells, and there's like that 1 mana instant speed spell with energy, and so it's okay. It's like then the creature needs to die for you to get this. It's fine. I want to C for this one. I think it's okay in blue, but I also think that blue doesn't really care that much about being aggressive, so maybe C minus then. Okay, I'm on C minus. C minus, because blue feels like it's not going to be very aggressive, and this is not that good when you're not aggressive. We're on to the last 2 blue cards, which are lands. The first one, Hydroelectric Specimen for 2 and a blue. It's a flash 1/4, and when it enters the battlefield, you may change the target of target instant or sorcery spell with a single target to this guy. And it's a 1/4 flash. And of course, you can play it as a land, which is pretty cool. I think in blue, again, because of the looting and these will have a little bit lower value, because you can loot some of the lands away, I think. If you draft to one as highly as we are, the looter. It's pretty good, like it's a land, it's a 1/4. Just this as a creature would be... It's not that easy to use super well, but you can also just... You can mess up their tricks as well. It's not just removal spells, like tricks, so... That's like the best use of it. I like it. I think it's a C plus still. It's still land.
I'm a little bit more swayed by the end makeup of blue decks not needing this type of effect, right? As in the effect I'm talking about is being the modal double face card. I'm a little bit lower on a C. Sink into Stupor, another modal double face, which is a 1 blue. Instant return target spell or non-land permanent and opponent controls to its owner's hand, and flips into same thing. Blue land that you can pay 3 to make it untapped. This one I'm a little bit more into. As we were talking about before, I don't think blue is as interested in this type of effect, but having access to this one is actually really nice.
Yeah, this is really nice.
It comes up way more than Hydroelectric Specimen would, right? Like for the same thing, like in the same places where you would play the 1/4 to intercept a trick, this does the same thing, right? This can stop a removal spell on a timely turn. This can like just bounce something to clear a blocker. This can gain you some life. This is nice. It's nice. I think this one's a B- for me.
This can hit auras? I mean, yeah, it can hit auras. You mean the last card? Yeah, instant or sorcery. This is great. B- for me as well. You gave it a B-, right?
B- as well.
Yeah, it's really good. Wait, what about the blue uncommons? What do you think?
Some of these blue uncommons are juiced.
Juiced, yeah.
They're really good.
Yeah. What I like about them is not like some of the white cards, like such a great stat line. It's more about like the effect that you're gonna have, the interaction, the choices. So I always like really good cards that actually have a good amount of choices on them. And not just like I play this card, it's amazing, and I don't need to think about it. And next up,
Do you know is a sentence I might be able to buy? By the end of the set, I could see Copy Crook, the one blue clone that gives something connive when it attacks. I could see that card actually just being undesirable because it's not particularly synergistic, right? It's not doing the energy thing, and it's not really doing the Eldrazi thing. And I think this set is actually really, really dependent on building synergy decks.
Yeah, I think.
Do you
super
think so?
important.
So, and Copy Crook doesn't really do any of that. So it's kind of the sore thumb, right?
I mean,
Of like it looks really strong, but it might not have an actual home.
I mean, if you're doing the energy thing, it copies the energy things.
It's true. It does copy the energy things.
If you're
And
doing the Eldrazi things, it copies
copy
the Eldrazi things.
It's fair enough.
But it also copies, if you're behind on board, it also copies the opponent's thing, so that's nice. So I don't think it's ever going to be broken or something, but I think it's pretty good. Next up, blue rares and mythics. For 2 and a blue, we have Enchantment Aura, Amphibian Downpour. It has Flash, it has Storm. Storm means when you cast this spell, copy it for each spell cast before this turn. Now, that means if you didn't play with Storm before, it means it also counts the opponent's spells. So opponent play it a lot of times in limited. That's kind of how you use it. You don't have a dedicated Storm deck. Vintage Cube, sure, but you don't have a dedicated Storm deck, so it's like opponent plays 1 or 2 things on their turn, like they usually do, and then you play your enchantment or whatever, and you copy it for everything that they played. And blue also has a lot of instant speed spells here, so maybe you're gonna have a 1 mana instant speed. Enchanted creature loses all abilities, and it is a blue frog creature with base power and toughness 1/1. So because you can play this as a flash speed, I think this is pretty good. Usually I don't care about these effects, and I kind of hate them. I hate them actually. But if you can do this to a couple of cards, maybe even 3, like with your 1 mana instant speed spell, or 2 or 3 mana flash cards, I'm into this. I'm on a C+ for this one.
So you're just gonna. So most of the time you're casting this on the end step, right? Because like they're just gonna
after a trick
skip their main phase 1 and attack you.
Yeah.
Lose all abilities. Frog. I'll go C. I'm a little bit less of a believer. I'm a little bit of a frog hater.
Bad effect, but you do it on multiple things almost always.
And there's a huge difference between doing it in 1 and 2 things, yeah. Dreamtide Whale, 2 and a blue for a creature whale. It's a 7/5 with Vanishing 2. Vanishing 2 means this creature enters the battlefield with 2 time counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, remove a time counter from it. When the last is removed, sacrifice it. Whenever a player casts their second spell each turn, proliferate. Important rules notes. It's whenever any player casts. So if your opponent double spells, you add a time counter on it. And specifically for Vanishing, once the counter is removed, it's gone, you know? So it's not like you have grace period, right? It's Vanishing. It has 2 counters on the first turn, then it goes down to 1, and the next turn, it's dead. So you have, without any outside assistance, you have 1 turn to attack. 1 turn to attack.
Feels pretty good.
Which means you have to double spell every turn.
And the opponent is probably going to be double spelling sometimes as well.
Oh, not with this card out. Probably not.
Yeah, but the problem is like, now opponent has a 7/5 for 3 mana that is also proliferating energy, +1/+1 counters. That's kind of it most of the time on their creatures, right? So they're also proliferating. And can you really afford not to start double spelling?
To double spell?
Yeah.
To keep up with this, I think this is risky. It's a spicy card. I'm happy that we're talking about it, but I'm pretty low on this, but I think it has a reasonable ceiling, and it really depends on how many attunes you have. I think.
Very easy
is it called
to double spell with this as well for 1 or 2 mana.
It is pretty easy to double spell with this, yes. I think you really want the 1 mana spells for this, like 3 of them, 4 of them. I'm gonna not take this particularly highly. I'm gonna take this as a D+, but I think we want a ceiling on this.
What do you give it?
I'm gonna take it as a D plus. I think it has a ceiling.
I think this is very good in blue. I think I'm gonna be taking it as a B minus in blue. Because it does proliferate your other things as well. The +1/+1 counter in some decks being pretty huge. Actually, I'm gonna be taking it as a C+. Because I think some of the decks are gonna be Eldrazi decks and stuff.
I kind of want the ceiling B.
Ceiling B? Yeah, ceiling B sounds good.
Yeah.
In the right deck, with enough cantrips and card draw as well.
Because I don't even think you can say, I have an energy deck, therefore I play Dreamtide Whale. I don't think it's that. I think you have to have a critical mass of 1 mana cards.
Yeah. Or a good amount of card draw and maybe a lot of 2-drops. Next up we got Flare of Denial. So 1 and double blue, it's an instant speed counter target spell. But you may sacrifice a non-token blue creature rather than pay this spell's mana cost. Is this gonna break Modern? It's much harder to use for some decks. For Merfolk? Oh man. Okay, this is not what this set review is about, sure, yeah, but isn't this crazy in Merfolk decks?
I think it's decent in Merfolk decks. I think it's pretty good. I think Merfolk can survive sacking a creature too.
Don't all Merfolk decks play 4 of these now? Okay.
It might be better in Dredge.
Okay, limited. 3 mana counter spell, not very good. But this effect is actually fine in limited. Like you play your 2 mana creatures and you really need to when you really need to counter something, like 3 mana counter anything is not good. It's not good, but it's playable, but you don't really want it. But having the option of sacrificing your creature, like 2 for 1 yourself, you know when that is really good for you, right? You have the option, you know. It's similar to when we had, similar but different, than when we had a 4 mana exile opponent's creature, and you can pay 2 mana instead, but opponent draws a card. Okay, 2 mana exile target creature, opponent draws a card is horrible. But having that option means like when you have 2 mana up, sometimes that is amazing. It's rarely when it's not that often that that's amazing. But when it is, you're so happy that you had that option. So this card would be bad if you couldn't counter anything for 3 without paying. If you would have to sacrifice a non-token creature and if it had 0 mana cost, it would be bad. But when sacrificing and countering is good, it's usually really good. It's really good. So I think this card is pretty nice. I like this card a lot. I actually think this is just a C+.
Yeah, I agree. It's a really strong cancel. It's a C for me. Harbinger of the Sea. Speaking of Merfolk, 1 blue for a 2/2 with non-basic lands or islands. F. This is an F.
F. Don't play it, please. Shadow of the Second Sun for 4 and double blue. Enchant player. At the beginning of Enchanted Player's post-combat main phase, there is an additional beginning phase after this phase. Then step happens after the added untap, upkeep and draw steps. Okay, so you put it on yourself, obviously. You finish the combat, you attack and everything. So all of your things untap. You draw a card and you do get the upkeep triggers. Now how many upkeep triggers are there? So basically all of your creatures have a better version of Vigilance. Yeah, you do draw a card. It is not extra card draw with 6 mana. Because untapping all of your creatures every time is not nothing. Oh, this untaps your lands. Oh wait, Scotty, this untaps. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. This untaps your lands. Fuck the creatures. They can go to hell. At the beginning of Enchanted Player's post-combat main phase, it's not only for instance. You get a full. At the beginning of Enchanted Player's post-combat main phase, there's an additional beginning phase. Oh wait, the end step. Wait. So you lose your second main phase?
No, that's...
After the add... Wait. Do you lose your second main phase?
Huh.
Huh.
I don't think so. I think you still get your second main phase.
The end step happens after the added untap, upkeep, and draw steps. After
Yeah,
that,
why does it say that? That's confusing.
that's you don't get a second main phase. No,
Wait.
there is no combat phase would never happen. Combat phase would never happen. This is not here for the combat phase. Because
No,
you're
no,
just
no, no.
getting the beginning.
You have your second main phase, and then the beginning phase happens.
At the beginning of the enchanted player's post-combat main phase, there's an additional beginning phase. After this phase. After this phase. Oh, so words, you need to connect them into sentences. Oh, okay,
Sometimes you have to finish the sentence.
Okay, so it is only for instance. I'm sorry for whoever I said, no, it's not that. Okay. A lot of blue cards are flash and instant speed. Like a lot. We have that 3-1. We have the Quench. We have the 5 mana draw 3 cards, I guess. We have a flash removal spell. Man, this is actually pretty good in blue, I think. I think this is good in blue. It doesn't cost 0 mana because you cannot play your sorcery speed stuff. But you always have the mana for instant speed spells, and a lot of them are here in blue. And in white, and in black. It doesn't cost 0. You untap 6 lands, but your turn ends after you untap those. Your turn ends after that. You put a lot more quenches with this. I'm okay with this. I'm on a C+. This is good. And ceiling?
Me too.
Ceiling?
I like this. No.
I think it's shit in Eldrazi decks. No ceiling. Even though I think it's crappy if you just want to play things on your turn. I think this card is extremely bad if you don't have a lot of instant interaction.
I mean, even the Eldrazi decks are running that 5 mana draw spell.
Yeah, I think it's bad with that card, but it's something with that card.
Okay. You're not like running any instant speed removal in your other color?
I think the ceiling is like a B+. Because I think you need a lot of it. You don't?
You pretty much want to be double spelling on the turn you play this. Or on the turn cycle you play this.
Yeah. But playing the draw 3 and make 1 and the Eldrazi is not that great here. Like the 3-1 with flash is good, the make something into 1-1 is good with this, the quench is really good with this. And then you have removal in other colors. Okay, so this is how it works, guys. You have your beginning phase, everything goes fine. You have your first main phase, everything is normal. You have your combat phase, everything is normal. You have your post-combat main phase, everything is normal. And then after your second main phase, you have another beginning phase, which means you untap things, everything. You do the upkeep triggers, you draw a card, and then your turn ends. Then it's end step. But it's such a weird wording, man. It's like at the beginning of your post-combat main phase, something is gonna happen at the end of it. Right? Right, Scotty?
Yes.
Like, at the beginning of your phase, nothing happens. That's written on a card. At the beginning of your phase, nothing happens. But it is gonna happen after this phase. Like, I know there is some kind of broken combo, and that's why it's there. But I don't know what it is. I have no idea which one it is. Like, remember, guys, nothing is gonna happen at the beginning. Gotta put it on the card, but it's gonna happen on the end. Imagine if every card was like this. So, on your upkeep, nothing happens. Now, on your upkeep, at the end of this turn, on your upkeep, at the end of this turn, you gain 2 life. But not on your upkeep, right? But on your upkeep at the end. That's so weird. It's so weird. I don't understand why. Okay.
Strict Serenade. Strict Serenade is blue. For an instant, counter target artifact creature or planeswalker spell, its controller creates a 2/2 blue bird creature token with flying. This is an F.
Yeah, absolutely unplayable, complete garbage. You don't want to give opponent a 2/2 flyer. I mean, obviously this is for some modern decks where you don't care about them having flying 2/2s. Ugin's Binding. Oh, he's coming too. For 2 and a blue, Devoid. Instant speed. Return target non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand. Okay. Whenever you cast a colorless spell with mana value 7 or greater, you may exile this thing from your graveyard. When you do, return each non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand. Wait, that's a payoff.
Bam.
Yeah. That's a payoff. That's pretty... Wait. Okay, 3 mana, bounce something is garbage. Especially because you also cannot do it on your spells. So that's garbage. And if you have 7 mana or greater colorless spells, that's game winning, man. And it's not non-tokens, so their tokens are gonna die. Okay, how highly do we take this? Like, how highly do we take this? Like, as
This is a reason to draft Eldrazi.
yeah, this is a reason, definitely. Maybe as a C plus. No, C. I mean, colorless cards with mana value 7 or greater.
Are there any colored cards with mana value 7 or greater?
There is a Hydra in green.
Sure, the X spell.
Yeah, I mean that works. That's important, I think, for the draw 3 spell. You know, for the draw 3 enchantment in blue.
Yeah.
I see. I think and ceiling like A minus.
Okay, I'm taking it as a B.
B.
Taking it as a B.
I mean, this is worth it, right? This is worth it.
Yeah, I'll speculate really highly. Like, I'm happy first picking this.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah, the floor is you would bounce something for 3, which is not the end of the world.
So it's you're playing the arena open, right? Something relatively high competition. So you were taking like the energy looter over this card, pack one, pick one.
I guess not. I guess I'll give it a B minus from me.
Okay.
Yeah, it's worth it.
Volatile Storm Drake. 1 and a blue for a creature Drake has 3. Sorry, it's a 3/2 with flying and hexproof from activated and triggered abilities. All right. When Volatile Storm Drake enters the battlefield, exchange control of Volatile Storm Drake and target creature and opponent controls. If you do, get 4 energy. Then sacrifice that creature unless you pay an amount of energy equal to its mana value. At minimum, it's a 2 mana 3/2 flyer. Notably, you don't get energy, so this card has nothing to do with energy if you're playing it as a beater. How good is a 3 mana 3/2 flyer with like negligible hexproof? It's good. That's good. That's painful. Wait, no, you it's not a May. Yeah, you have to if your opponent.
It's not a May. It's not a May.
It's not a May. Ooh. Ew. That's much worse.
That's
Thought it
pretty
was a
bad.
May. Because I got thrown by the if you do, you know? But
Yeah.
it's
It's horrible. Scott, it's horrible.
if you play it on turn 2 and your opponent doesn't have a board, you don't have to swap, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're on the play, right?
Yeah. That's a big if. That's a huge if.
That's a big if. I'm hesitant to say it's absolutely unplayable.
I think it's absolutely unplayable. But you?
I'm giving it a D-. I'm a
so-
believer.
So basically the reward is not you win the game. That is not the reward.
Nope.
I'm okay with that reward. That's where I would put it in my deck. You win the game. Dot. Because the reward is you get a very good creature, right? You get a very good creature. Very good, not game-winning bomb. You get a very good creature. Because the downside of it is you're on a good way to lose the game. You have one less card in your hand. The downside is you have one less card in your hand. I mean, when is this good, man? Like, when is this good? Like, okay, so you're playing one card, you're getting one card. Like, is it good to give opponent a 3-2? I mean, okay, so it's not that bad.
No,
it's not that bad. Wait, I'm thinking about it. Opponent plays a 4-drop, and you kill their 4-drop and steal it. And they get a 3-2 flyer. That's not that bad, right?
It's not great. It's kind of mediocre.
The problem is when you don't get a 4-drop, right? When you get like a 3-drop or a 2-drop, because a lot of things have ETBs in this set, and I think when you're getting a 3-drop or a 2, I mean, when you're stealing a 3-drop or a 2-drop, you're giving them a better creature. You're basically always giving them a better creature.
Okay, like this is a split card. You either play it on an empty board or you wait till the hyper late game.
But hyper late game, like you gotta have this energy. And it's a 2-drop that you
need
gotta
two.
wait.
Okay, so I think blue's pretty good at energy. Blue,
yeah,
I think can generate a decent amount of energy. So I think in a reasonable deck where you're putting this in, you're going to be able to steal most of the time what you want. And okay, like it's 2 mana. What happens if you just in turn 3-4 you engineer an attack with your 3-drop into your opponent's 3-drop? They trade. You just slam this. It's not bad.
That's bad. That is really bad.
That's bad. That's not that bad. Like
yeah,
you can,
I think that's
for example, turn 4 you get full
really
spell.
Bad. Like you're working to get a 3-2 flyer. Yeah, you're engineering a situation where you get a 3-2 flyer. That's kind of shit.
Well, I'm engineering a situation where you get a 3-2 flyer in a case where you don't expect to get a 3-2 flyer, because I'd expect to either play this on an empty board in the turn 2 or hold it as a pseudo removal spell.
Well, just 3 mana 3-2 flyer would be way better, but I don't think I would care that much about a 3 mana 3-2 flyer.
I'm convinced. I'm moving up to D.
I'm convinced this is a D minus, from an F to a D minus, because it's kind of okay to steal some 4-drops. What?
Oh yeah, we both moved up.
And then if the opponent has a bounce, man,
I mean, you're more likely to have a bounce for your Stormdrake than they're likely to have a bounce.
You sure?
Yeah, you're playing blue.
Yeah, but what is the blue bounce?
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's a good point. that's exactly what you just said. That's a blue bounce. That's what you just said. And you didn't say anything, because there isn't one. Yeah. There's an uncommon.
There isn't really a blue bounce.
Huh?
Yeah, there's not really a blue bounce.
Yeah, there just isn't. There's a uncommon Eldrazi, which is an uncommon. I don't know how often you're gonna have that.
Oh yeah, Sink to Stupor is like the only one.
What is Sink into Stupor?
The modal double face.
Oh yeah, there is that. That's a uncommon. That's also uncommon. Yeah.
Yep, uncommon. Yep.
I'm okay with a D minus. I guess it can be okay, but what 4-drop are you even stealing? All 4-drops have some kind of ETBs. Okay, I don't know. What 4-drop are you even stealing, man?
The modified one? Modified 4/4 vigilance? Modified 4/4 vigilance?
The 4/4 vigilance? The white one?
Yep.
With modified thingy? Yeah. I mean, if the opponent plays a huge Hydra, then you can get 3 energy and steal it. You can get their hexproof from activated and triggered abilities. Oh, you cannot bounce it with yeah, you cannot bounce it with, you have only one uncommon bounce for it. D minus, the card is complete garbage. Tamio Inquisitive Student. For a blue, it's a 0/3 flyer, and whenever this thing attacks, it has flying. Investigate. Whenever you draw your 3rd card in a turn, exile this thing and return it to the battlefield transformed as Tamio, Seasoned Scholar. It's a 2 toughness, 2 loyalty planeswalker. For +2, you have until your next turn, whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, it gets -1/-0. Oh, pretty good protection on a +2. Like, that's a really good protection on a +2. And how much does it cost? It costs freaking 1 mana. Okay, Jesus Christ. For -3, return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. If it's a green card, add 1 mana of any color. Pretty cool, pretty cool. For -7, draw cards equal to half the number of cards in your library rounded up. You get an emblem with you have no maximum hand size. That's pretty good. Okay, this card is crazy. It's a 1 mana 0/3 flyer. 1 mana 0/3 flyer is just gonna attack a ton of times. A ton of times. And then you can, again, you can do this with a lot of different cards, but you can just crack 2 clues and it flips. And the +2 that makes everything -1, -0. Like the front side is really good. You're gonna get card value already. This is crazy powerful. I'm on an A for this one at least.
Me too. A for Tamiyo.
Yeah, very protection. Like +2 is protection for planeswalkers, right? We always, when we talk protection, it's like 1/1, 2/2. You make some creatures, right? But -1, -0 on every single creature that's attacking you, that's a protection because it's +2. +2 planeswalkers are so hard to kill, so hard. And then you don't have to flip it, right? What do you say?
Yeah, you're never killing Tamiyo.
What do you say?
You're never killing Tamiyo.
It's
impossible.
Hard. You can choose when to flip it as well. Because if you see, oh, they're just gonna kill my Tamiyo, okay, let's flip it next turn maybe then. That's really good. Okay, we are done with blue. We already talked about the commons and uncommons. And next up we have black. Scotty, wanna go?
Sure. Is this commons?